Hello? 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 Dollface, can you hear me? Sweet love. Mochi's right here. Mochi says, hello, Brittany. Huh. Britt? Moch. Hello? Dollface, let me take you off speaker. Hello? You are muted, honey. You are silenced out. I cannot hear a thing, but I can see your pretty face because I put your picture on here. Oh. Hello.
I can hear you.
Okay, I can I can hear you now, sweetheart. Awesome-o. Are you all good to have our little sip and tea?
Yes.
Okay, so I am gonna just begin with hello everybody. Welcome to Brittany and Shanny Sip Some Tea. And then it is echoing a little bit. Let me see. You know what? I wonder if it's because. Can you hear the echo?
No.
So strange. Okay, we'll just leave it like that. It's probably on my end. I wanted to ask you a very, very interesting topic. I think it's about artificial intelligence. And I was wondering first, have you ever watched the movies Terminator?
No, I have not.
It's basically, in a nutshell, where artificial intelligence computers or, autonomous robots get so advanced that they end up smarter than the civilization and try to take it over. So I'm wondering, in general, what are your thoughts, if any, about artificial intelligence? For instance, AI that is taking away jobs from people, or maybe like an automatic driving car that you'll see out in the Bay Area. These, cars that have no one in it and are just driving and don't have the decision making capability to kind of, if they were driving ahead and they had to the left of them let's say a rabbit, and to the right of them they had a little girl, they don't have the brain to make the decision to go left or right. So I'm just saying, my thoughts are very, very, intricate about this, but I was wondering if you have any thoughts about artificial intelligence, and if it's, natural, if you find it fine, or if you have any thoughts about that.
So, it's funny that you asked me that now, because I just watched this show. I think it's like the next thing on your plate or something like that. But it was talking about intelligence and robotics and the food industry. And the guy was like totally against it. And after watching the 30-minute video, I was like, it's really interesting, because food, I didn't know how advanced things had gotten from COVID. And so it was talking about
tell.
Like what they have been implementing since COVID and stuff. And like, I mean, you've heard of like the flipper, the robot flipper of the burgers or whatever. But like, there's so much more that they have done that like I didn't even know existed. And I was like, oh, well, that kind of technology would be available sometime in my lifetime. I didn't know it was like
right now. Yeah. You know what I saw that was kind of freaky was I went into the mall and there was like a contactless robot that was trying to serve Ice cream. I was like, whoa. So is that what you mean? Just things that are taking place of a person, so it's contactless?
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, tell me about the show.
Too, like, the job thing, because,
yes,
you know, with COVID, there's people who are having problems keeping jobs or employees because of, you know, the sickness or whatever. But what is that going to do to us next year or the year after that if we jump back from this COVID stuff?
Yeah.
And everybody needs these jobs. Like, I don't know what it's like there, but here I am getting very tired of going to a grocery store, and it doesn't matter if it's King Soopers or Walmart, or I think there's a Safeway around here. I don't go to one, but I'm going to assume it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You go to the damn store, and you either have to wait in a very, very long line to have somebody check out your groceries for you, or you have to do it all yourself, no matter how many items you have.
Yes, it's like that here. You know, they are even adding those little kiosks at stores that never had them before. You know, for contactless, and that is exactly why I asked the question, because it poses that, you know, quintessential question is, if we're going to have all these autonomous robots or machines and artificial intelligence doing everything for us, I just feel that human beings lose control of a lot, you know what I mean? And to make sensible decisions, and to also, you know, it's already been going on in the factory industry since, you know, they've kind of gotten a lot of machinery to do a lot of the factory work too. So yeah, that's why I asked. Fascinating. So what else did the show kind of open your eyes to?
What?
I said, what else was that show kind of opening your eyes to? What else did you ponder? What else did you have thoughts about? What interested you the most out of that show?
I mean, pretty much that technology is taking away jobs, and we need to figure out how to supplement that.
Yes.
I know a lot of people are like, well, you can get a job doing something else, but like, there's a lot of grocery stores in America.
Yeah, and what happens when
all of those grocery store jobs, you know, even if it's just the cashiers, or if it's the cashiers and the people stocking the stuff, or even just the people ordering the stuff and the cashiers, if even just those jobs go away, that's so many people in America, or even worldwide, that wouldn't have jobs.
So
and
true.
then think about all of the burger flippers. Like, I just don't see it. I see us far outweighing ourselves.
I agree. And you know what? I don't know
really
if it's called.
Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry. Free labor out of me, honestly. Like, I would rather somebody else have the job and check me out, and there be options of, you know, a couple of checkouts, or maybe 4 or 5 checkouts.
Yes. And what about the human experience, right? Because COVID, you know, as it is, distancing and all that is taking it away, and that even takes it farther, right? Removed?
You what?
I said, it's like the human contact experience, I think, is important too. And with COVID, you know, the social distancing and everything, we've lost a little bit of that person to person. So I feel like the, you know, artificial intelligence or little kiosks also takes that away, removes that element of human contact that I feel we all need. And that is what we're, a big part of why we're here on Earth, is to have relationships and communicate with others. You know what I mean?
Well, I noticed it with my sister. There's like 2.5 years difference between us.
Uh-huh.
And growing up, I always had to be the one that ordered the food. Like, I had to call the Domino's or the Chinese food or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Because my sister felt weird being on the phone.
Yep.
And so I noticed that back in the day. So now I'm even noticing more where people younger than me, especially younger than me, but even now, some of the older people, they want everything on their phone, or they want it electronically.
I know.
And so
it's not good, in my opinion.
I think there are those people that rely on the electronics, and they want that taken out.
Yeah, it's really scary because to me, I think that people who are awkward, like I definitely did that for my mom growing up. She would have me call everything and my husband, so I know how that is. But the thing is, I feel sometimes when they were forced in the past to do it, it was good for them. And what if that element is taken away? I mean, how are these people gonna function with just like, you know, their phone and a button? You know what I mean? It's also, I wanted to ask you, I know you're in Colorado, are you anywhere where you have seen those cars, the Google cars or the automated self-driving cars?
No, I haven't, but I have been very fascinated and I don't know the guy's name, but he's the one that keeps getting pulled over and arrested for letting his car drive him, and he's in the back seat.
No way! I haven't heard about that. Is that one of those cars, like a Tesla that drives itself, or he's just freeballing it?
Yeah, he has like an Elon Musk car or something.
Okay.
Like that. It's like a one that drives itself, but like you're not supposed to be in the back seat or whatever.
Oh.
You're supposed to be in the front seat.
Okay.
If something happens, you're supposed to be able to take over or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I guess, well, I don't think there's any. So this is where I get confused.
Okay.
Because I don't know if there's any law around it. I mean, obviously there is, because he keeps getting arrested for it, but he keeps saying that, like, he's not doing anything wrong. He's just sitting in the back seat while his car drives himself. And so, and of course, obviously he has money.
Yeah.
So he just keeps paying his way out of it. But, like, he doesn't stop. He keeps getting arrested, and this keeps happening. It's like somewhere in California.
That's so dangerous. It's so you know what is weird too? In California, we just about 2 months ago, we had the Elon Musk, you know, a company, Tesla. It was a car, Tesla. Some couple and their friend couple went to a dealership to test drive, right? A Tesla, and thank God they dropped off the wives and the kids first, and then they went on the test drive, and tell me why. One was sitting in the passenger, one was in the back. Well, the car actually malfunctioned and went from 0 to 100 into a tree and killed them on impact. And so that is my fear, is giving so much control to a machine, to artificial intelligence. And that is just silly that guy, you know, is tempting, is kind of pushing the envelope. You know, if it's supposed to be that you're in the passenger to try to stop something, you know what I mean? It's like people with money, I feel, think that they're impervious to any kind of consequence and also any kind of repercussion for themselves, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, and I just don't know how... I don't understand how driverless cars work when all of them are not driverless cars. Like, I get it if they were all driverless cars.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would be perfect. But, like, there's so much human error.
Yeah.
How do the driverless cars work around the human error that's all around them? Like,
yeah.
I just don't, I see that not working out.
Yeah, like my daughter posed the question about a year ago. She said, Mom, she was doing a project in school, and she said, Mom, you know, this is the problem with artificial intelligence, these self-driving cars. They don't have the ability to make a decision that is horrible for all of us, but if you had a choice to hit a rabbit and kill a rabbit, or a person, you obviously would choose the rabbit, right? Because you understand, you know, and the car obviously doesn't have that capability. And so she was posing the question, they had a big paper to write about moral compass, and how artificial intelligence self-driving cars obviously don't have that. And so if they were, like you said, out in the world with other cars that are driving with own humans behind it, or there's humans out there, you know, how do they decipher? How do they make that moral decision to, let's say, hit a tree instead of a person? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's very, very tricky. And like you said, I did not think that we would be alive during all this. It's rapidly, you know, really, really progressing faster than I could have even imagined.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So crazy. Another question is totally different. totally different topic, but I love that we kind of touched on it last time. The movie Soul. I wanted to ask you what your favorite part of the movie was, or what part do you think rang most true to your near-death experience in the movie The Soul, or Soul?
I would have to rewatch it again because it's been a while since I've watched it.
No worries.
But I would say, just like when they passed, there was like other jobs.
Yeah, the mentors.
It was like not jobs that we have here, but like one of them was like, you know, trying to teach the new kids coming down like what their purpose was.
Yeah.
And so like I think that's where they nailed it.
Yeah.
That, and then I really found it was interesting how they explained, like there was that I want to say he was like a hippie kind of a guy.
Yeah, the guy who's like, hello, fellow sojourners.
Yeah, and he was like always kind of, his head was in the cloud, and it kind of explained how people like that connected.
Yes.
And was able to see that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I resonated with that dude a lot, as you can imagine. I was like, yes. He's like, come on down. I loved him, and I loved the funny people who were with him. He's like, oh, that's so-and-so. She's meditating in Tibet. You know?
Yeah.
I loved it. Hello, animals. Mochi is running crazy over here, too. You know what? When you said about the jobs, I loved that they called the workers, for lack of a better word, mentors. And it reminded me of the same thing as spirit guides, and they all have a different kind of occupation, spiritual occupation to do over there.
Yes, and I feel like that's like where they kind of nailed it. I don't know. I felt like they nailed the whole movie, but
yeah, for sure.
They did really good, and then the whole what was the one part?
You know what I wanted to ask you about in that movie, the Hall of You. You know the Hall of You where he goes in and he sees little snippets of his life. I was going to ask you if that, you know, to me that is kind of this similarity to a life review, like the holographic images of him when he goes and look. It's called like the Hall of You or something like that.
Yeah, I thought that was neat, and I never had that. I never had like a life review, and maybe so. There's different like theories on that. So like some people say, well, it was because you didn't die, and you don't ever like have your final. You don't have your life review until you finally die.
Yeah.
But then you have some of the near-death experiencers who come back and say that they saw a life review.
Yeah.
So
maybe it's the closer you get to death, maybe. You know what I mean? I don't know. Or maybe it's just that some people progress, or maybe you don't remember it. Do you think that could be a possibility, that you may not remember some portions of your near-death experience?
I honestly think when you have a near-death experience, you are shown what you are supposed to be shown.
Yes, right? Yeah. Curtailed to you, right? Like personal to you is what I believe.
For whatever reason, I didn't need a life review. What I needed to know was that life continues on and that my mom was safe. And I knew what she was feeling and what she would be feeling because I had those feelings and I saw those colors and I saw the lightness.
Yes.
So then when she passed, I was okay with remaining here after she left.
Yes.
So I don't think a life review would have done me any good.
No purpose at that time, right? For that
situation.
Yeah. I think it's beautiful.
So where other people maybe they need that self-review and that's why they have it.
For sure. That makes sense. What is your favorite element of the whole thing? If you could pick one experience, if you had to kind of just choose one part of it, would it be, that moment only when you interacted with your mom's soul, or what was the most impactful moment that kind of helped change, the way that we talked about our depression and anxiety, the thing that you think may have been pivotal to change that, to like remove the depression or whatnot? Was there anything in particular that you could pick out if you had to choose?
I would say, I don't know about like depression or impactful that way, but I would say my favorite moment or part of it would be when I got to that second level and I saw my family sitting there, and not only my mom and my dog, but I saw my grandma and my grandpa and my uncle, and then family that I've never seen before or that I've never recognized of knowing, but I knew that they were family.
That's so awesome.
I think that's what did it for me, because I really missed my grandma. I would say, my mom is my everything, and she was huge in my life. She was my everything in my life. But my grandma, while she was in my life, was my special person. Yeah. And so to see her again and to be able to have that connection again with her, and to know that there's other people that I don't even know that I'll get to meet and get to, interact with. Yeah. I think that, and I've always been interested in that, knowing, because my grandma, she lost her mom and dad on the same day in a car accident.
Wow.
And she was young. She was, I don't know, I'd have to guess, but I'd guess like 20s maybe. That's really just young. A guess, but I'm thinking that. So, I never got to know any of my great grandparents. And then on my mom's side, I didn't get to know my grandparents at all. So it's always been kind of fascinating to me to know where my grandparents came from and to know where like my family comes from. Yeah. And knowing the names and the ancestry tree is one thing, but to be able to, sit down and talk to them
and feel their energy,
and to actually know them is something that I'm really excited for. So
yes,
I think that's what really nailed it for me.
And Brittany, you said that you have the similar vision in your near-death experience or experience where it was almost like a dining room table, right?
Yeah, they were either just eating or they had finished eating.
And so neat, because it's common with my visions, and also I hear it from different people that their testimony is about that. What do you think, in your best guess, is the symbolism for the table set or the table setting? Hard one, right? It's okay. Tough question.
I don't know, because some of my favorite times were out at the farm, because it's kind of confusing, but my grandparents owned a town home, or a home in town. That's and cool. Then a farm outside of town, and that's where I grew up on, was the farm outside of town, was where my mom and dad was. And then they'd come out all the time. But then after my mom and dad got a divorce, my dad eventually moved into town, and they swapped houses so that my grandparents lived out in the farm, and my dad lived in town. So when we lived out on the farm, my grandparents came out a lot, and we would always, I always remember eating lunches, dinners. My grandma was always big, because they were farmers. So nice. 6, noon, and 6, my grandma had
fresh stuff, right?
5-course meals on the table all the time. And it was after one meal, she was prepping for the next meal, kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's
so
beautiful.
I don't know if that played some of it in there.
Well, it makes sense, because just what you're saying, it made a sense of comfort and nostalgia that is positive. I think that most of us, or at least the ones who see that as a vision, when we think of gathering at a table, it's something of joy, it's something of a happy reunion of sorts. You know what I mean? What about the age? I don't know if I asked you this, and I think I did, but what did the other relatives and maybe your grandma look? What did they look like what you remembered them to be in pictures or later on in pictures, or did they look young? Like, some people say that they're all, spirits in that realm are all looking about 30. Did you have any impression about age or what they looked like, youthful or older?
So everybody was younger. My dog was probably, he died at age 10, and because of some health issues and stuff, he was pretty overweight and was kind of uncomfortable and had issues getting around. But when I saw him two months before he died, he was probably, I guess, like 5. Yeah. And he was his slim self running around, like, had no problems.
Was he so happy to see you?
Yeah.
Oh,
and then, like, my mom, I would guess maybe, see, mom is hard because I never saw her age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's our mom,
you
yeah.
Really see your parents' age. So, like, I would say she's always been the age that I've always seen her.
Yeah.
But I would guess, like, late 30s, maybe.
Okay.
And my grandparents is where it gets interesting because my uncle is 16 years older than my dad, I think.
Uh-huh.
So my grandma was, I did the math, and I can't remember the math. I'm going to have to redo the math. But I believe my grandma and grandpa were in their 50s when I was born.
Okay.
So when I saw them on level 2, I would guess they were in their early 40s. And I had never seen them at that age on Earth.
For sure. So, I mean, that right there is
I thought
proof.
that was really interesting.
Very
seeing
interesting.
My grandma and grandpa younger than I have ever seen them.
Yeah. Do you think that we choose? Do you think what we choose when we get there, if what kind of state of being we want to present ourselves to other people?
You what?
I said, do you think that we choose once we're on the other side, kind of what age demographic we want to represent ourselves to or whatnot?
You know, I have no idea, and I keep trying to think about me, and I know I was me, but like I didn't see me.
Exactly. So you don't know how you looked. Yeah.
I don't know what I looked. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I feel like I was just regular me, but maybe I wasn't regular me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you remember during the near-death experience taking a look at maybe your arms or legs to see if they were there, or did that thought never cross your mind?
I think I remember seeing my hands.
Okay. Interesting.
But other than that, like I've tried thinking back, and the only reason I think I remember seeing my hands is because of hugging. I think I hugged my grandma, my grandpa, and my mom.
That is so cool.
I think.
It's so
I
neat.
might have my uncle too, but I think he remained sitting.
And
but I said my goodbyes as I went to level 3, so it was a quick goodbye. So
the whole time when you were experiencing this, was the guide that you were with just kind of out of the picture or witnessing all this, or did you not notice?
You what?
So the guide that you were with, the light being that was taking you to the different levels, was that like, were they witness to everything? Were they kind of like, could you tell that their conscious was involved, or was it kind of just a third party, kind of like maybe an arbitrary?
So I could tell because they were explaining something. They were explaining stuff to me, but it was more like I didn't see that person or body or whatever entity until the 3rd level. So I don't know if on level 1 and 2 it was telepathy, or if it was them beside me or within me. I have no idea. I just heard a voice explaining what was going on in kind of a tutorial kind of a way. But was kind of on the side too, like almost like a narrator. Like,
interesting.
Once they explained it, you know, they were like, you know, this is level 2 where your family is, and
Trippy.
you know, then I got to see the family, and then after I had a little, you know, interaction with them, that's when they were like, you're needed on level 3, but your family can't go with you. So was that entity or that person or whatever talking to me, were they sidelined that whole time? I don't know. I'm gonna guess so.
What do you remember anything else on level 2? Like any other interactions specifically? Like, did you ever sit down at the table, or was it just like the whole impression of the love? Like, oh, there you are.
Well, I mean, I blinked and then I was on level 2, and that's where I was in the house and at the front of the table, and I remember just seeing. I mean, it was just huge walls. I mean, it was a huge.
Tall?
I don't want to call it a mansion because, of course, everybody calls it a mansion.
Okay.
But I guess it would be kind of like mansion-y. I mean, it was just very tall, high ceilings, really decorated, but not like a house, but more, I don't know, elegant maybe.
Okay.
Very bright, light, bright gold colors. Other colors in there too, but very bright, light.
Was it translucent at all? Like see-through at all?
You what?
Was any of that structure like translucent? Like was it, like some people say it looks like it's made of light. Was any of that translucent, or did it look solid?
It was like the light was coming through the windows, but it was like super bright, like super bright, like golden bright light.
Yeah.
And so I mean, that was kind of translucent light, sort of.
Yeah.
But I don't remember any like lights on in the house, you know, in the. But yeah, and then they were picking up. They were doing something with the plates. I don't know if they were like picking them up and taking them into wherever to put them away, or if they were putting them down just at the table. But they were either getting ready to eat or they had just finished eating.
So interesting. Do you think that just out of curiosity, do you think that that is metaphorical when people like you and others see the table? Do you think that we are able to eat in heaven and taste?
I only heard bits of that. What?
Oh, sorry. I hope that I wasn't breaking up. It's like an echo. Okay, so I guess I'll bring up the movie Soul again. I don't know if you remember this part, but the 22, the new Soul, she says, "No, we can't eat here. We don't taste." And she eats a pizza and it just comes right out. And he's like, "What?" So do you think, just out of curiosity for a fun question, do you think that we can taste and smell, and do we actually eat if we want to in heaven, just out of, hypothetical?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a pleasurable thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's needed or, whatever.
We get the feeling from it, right? The enjoyment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess there's so many other questions that we could go off and wonder about, like, sex, and is there, experiences like we have here with plant medicine? Do you think that on the other side there are counselors who do some sort of state of consciousness to assist us with our therapy, so to speak, our soul work? There's so much you could, hypothetically ask.
Well, and then there's so many near-death experiencers that say that they've experienced it, or that they have, you know what I mean? So, there's tons of people that I've talked to that, one of them said that they experienced sex, or know that they do have sex, or you can, and then you never know whether or not to believe those people or not, because you never know if they're legit or not.
Yeah.
But I think, it's whatever pleasurable things that you like to do.
Yeah.
I think it still exists in some way, and maybe it's not quite the same, but I know my Uncle Denny is probably smoking pot, because that's all he did as a human.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that. I have to agree. Yeah. You know what is so weird? Not weird, but on the topic, you just said you heard somebody. I saw, ironically, 2 nights ago, something from, I think, 9 months ago, on Jeff Mara's podcast, and it was a gentleman that said the biggest secret, the best kept secret of near-death experiencers is that you feel, quote-unquote, orgasmic. Like, you feel as if you are in that place of having an orgasm or great sex or something. He said, but nobody talks about it. And I thought the same thing, you know, no judgment, but I thought the same thing. I thought, is he just saying that, you know, just to say? But he really seemed well-spoken and all that. So it intrigued me. I was like, wow, you know.
I wouldn't say like sex, but I mean, it's definitely
like a pleasurable energy comparable to it or something.
Oh yeah. I mean, like it's nothing that you've ever felt before here.
Yeah.
I mean, like maybe like the best day of your life here is maybe the best way to explain it, but like it's if you can just imagine yourself with no worries, no cares, no depression, no anxiety, and just pure happiness.
And obviously no fear of death, right? Because hello, you're there. You're in the afterlife.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's bliss in a way, I guess I would explain it.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I tried to think of negative things, but I like, there's absolutely no I mean, there's not, like,
it doesn't exist.
How can I explain it? Like, if I thought about, oh my gosh, what would, because I try to kill myself and I'm laying on the floor and my husband's going to come home and see me and find out that way. I couldn't think that way. It was more like, well, not he'll be okay, but because of what I've done, I mean, it's not like you rationalize it, but you just can't think of the negative of it.
You just accept what is, right?
Yeah, and it's only, like, you only see the positivity that comes out of it.
That's beautiful.
There is no negativity. So, like, when, one thing that really bothers me is when people say things like, if you grieve too much, it doesn't let your loved ones go, or if you get stuck in your grief, or if you think about your loved ones too much, they have a hard time in the afterlife.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That really upsets me because it's so not true.
It's not true. Yeah.
Not at all, in any sense. And even if my mom is watching me cry, she can't think of anything negative.
Yeah.
She's just downpouring love to me.
Exactly. And she's trying to give you a sign.
Oh, my poor baby, I wish I was there to help her. Oh, worry me. No, it's, my daughter will be okay. She's just letting out grief. Yep. I love her so much. I need to send down my love. Like,
amen. That is beautifully said.
Process.
Yes.
There is no, like, negativity. And I don't know how to, like, explain that enough to people.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to fathom what your life is like without any doubts, worries, concerns.
For sure.
I mean, because you know, and not that I could say I knew everything or that everything was going to work out, but like you have such a sense of connectivity.
Yeah.
It's like you know everything.
Yeah. You're completely comforted, you know? You know what? You just brought up something that it kind of bugs me too. It's like there are so many people who do this, like testimonies for the right reason. There's so many that do it for the wrong reason. There's so many mediums who do things for the right reason, and then there's others, like you said, who will say, "Oh, you know, you because you are in grief, you are keeping this spirit in purgatory." And I feel that it's so negative and it is so unnecessary because that person has a lot of human emotions as it is to process. They don't need the guilt, on top of the grief. So I agree. I feel that they just come down in spirit over and over and over with comfort, trying to show signs so that you can get the message eventually, and they have as much patience as the universe. You know what I mean? I feel that it's, if anything, they are loving in a weird way. They're loving that we care so much, but they're sending us little signs so that we're not so sad. That I think that's the only thing that they care about. You know what I mean? It's they're not stifled at all.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it really bothers me when people guilt, or like, even I get really upset about the suicide stuff too. Like,
where the people say that I almost committed suicide, and then they told me, well, you're gonna go to this dark place is that what you mean? Like, they say that there's repercussions and you're not gonna go to a heaven and stuff like that?
Well, there's that. And then you've got the other ones that are like, well, if they commit suicide, they just don't care. And they don't care about the people that they leave behind and what it does to other people.
No, it's the opposite. They care so much, and that's why they probably prolong that act. I want to shout it out. Defensive Line, like defense, like I'm defending. Defensive Line is a nonprofit organization. The Oakland Raiders, the team I follow, they sadly, one of the young players, first year 2 years ago, his sister, 23, committed suicide, and he brought this up, and he's just so eloquently, speaking this out, and he's having something on November 6th where it's teaching both people who are teens, people who are in that place in which they're, suicidal, or other people who just want to be of help, that have had maybe like your experience or anything at all, that they can just kind of mentor these other people. And I just want to shout out the people like you and him, who are doing these things, and his name is Solomon Thomas. Rest in peace for his sister. I just want to say that there's so much more productivity, in my opinion, people that are trying to promote positivity and what they know, rather than try to debunk and kind of stigmatize. Like, I don't know, I don't like when all these scientists spend every effort that they have trying to debunk either, I don't know, let's say UFOs, but near-death experiences, or whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever the case may be, I just feel like, what is the point trying to disprove something that is not hurting anybody? You know what I mean? And it's just the most negativity that comes out of that. I just don't feel that it does any good whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, and there's so many moms that I've come across, because I talk to so many moms and dads of grieving children.
Yeah.
And there's so many moms that I come across that have lost their kid to suicide. It's just so sad to hear the hurtful things that they're said to them.
Yes.
That their kid is not in a better place, or that their kid is, that they didn't care about what other people thought, and that they didn't care what they were going to do to their family.
That's detrimental.
So much that they got their own mom and dad thinking about this stuff.
Yeah, that's detrimental. It's just no good. What about Britney? Have you ever heard this one? I will never forget. It happened about 2 years after my dad passed. The normal knock on the door. It's Jehovah's Witness, right? And they tell me, hey, we want to talk to you about the Lord. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm good spiritually. This is where I'm at, but you can come in and have some tea, right? I'm like, I do astrology, but I believe in afterlife, all this. They were like mind blown, but you know what they told me? They said, oh no. I'm sorry to tell you, but since you cremated your father, he has no soul. He is not with God. And I'm like, oh my God, do you tell everybody this? And they're like, yes, that's the truth. And I'm like, I look at this little girl who's about 15 following them around, and I kind of mouth to her, you can get out. Because I'm like, how horrible is that?
Well, and it's kind of funny, but I get a lot of Mormon,
yeah,
who friend request me and try to talk to me because my story really resonates to their religion.
Interesting. Oh, because of the levels! Girl, my dad's whole family's Mormon. Yeah, they think that there's like 7 levels of heaven, right?
Yeah, they believe in 3 levels.
Oh, 3 levels. Okay, I knew it was levels. They tried to tell my dad one time, because he was not baptized Mormon, they were not going to go up in the levels, and it was his fault, you know.
Yeah, they believe in, like, it's like celestial something, I don't know, there's like 3 different levels.
Interesting.
And what it is it's kind of what I explained, but like each level is a level better almost, and depending on what, I don't know, I guess you did or what you didn't do, or I don't know what they believe in, but you can get in on those levels. And
I mean, it kind of makes sense a little bit.
The second level is the most godlike level.
Interesting.
But none of them want to ascertain that they might be only partially right.
Yeah. That's the problem I have with dogmatic religion, is that they don't have open mind. They're like, oh no, it's this way. If you're cremated, you're not this. Or they won't have open mind to explore. I totally get what you're saying.
And I had, I don't know how I had her on my Facebook, but I had a pastor from my hometown on my Facebook. And after my experience, I wanted to talk to somebody with experience in religion, of that religion, just to see if they could explain or what they thought of it.
Yeah.
I wanted different viewpoints from a whole bunch of people.
For sure.
Well, of course, she did the same thing, and she's like, well, that's not what happened. It was a dream.
Oh, gosh.
It was a dream-like thing, and you wouldn't have a life review unless you really died, and you didn't die. And so, like, there was a lot of, she sent me a book on a guy who had a near-death experience, but it was like, it was so much more religion-y than anything else. I didn't even read the book.
Sometimes I think that's propaganda, girl. Some of the YouTubers that they have on religious channels, and it just sounds too scripted.
But yeah, so there's so many people that, like, and just like with the pastor person, these Mormon people will say, oh my gosh, your story sounds so much like what we believe in. Will you join our group and become one of us?
Yeah, that's all.
And it's like, no, that's not the point. The point is to listen to what I'm saying. And, like, you're trying to
convert
what
you.
I saw and what happened into what you believe in. Why can't you take what you believe in and add it to what I've seen and experienced and make it into something your own?
Exactly. I mean, Mormons, they might as well say it's like Scientology, because Scientology also believes in levels. You know what I mean? But it's like their own version of what they want. And it's so, that's what drives me crazy about religion, because instead of accepting other people's viewpoints and seeing the commonalities, they're too busy arguing and trying to convert, possess people into believing what they believe.
I think if we just listen to each other and stop trying to convert, we would have a way better picture on what really happened way back when it started religion, and we would know more.
Absolutely. I know. I was thinking about the whole bully thing and just how I've just suffered my whole life for whatever reason. I think empaths, when you're sensitive and you're a kind-hearted person, that goes hand in hand. But I was thinking about that earlier when I texted you. And, I just can't help but remember all of the people, including Jesus in the Bible, who was persecuted and bullied and to the point of, crucified, murdered, and tortured just because of his beliefs, and because apparently he could do things that few people could do, as far as like healing and things like that. And then I thought of Salem, the people they called witches. I'm sure they were just doing some healing. I'm just saying it is such a profound obsession with people who want to track down something and extinguish it because it doesn't fit their narrative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a bummer, and I think they'd be, like you said, a better world if we all could just listen. I love listening. I love to dissect. I love to just have an open forum like this and talk about, well, who knows? It's like, it's almost like a science experiment. Like, I love to research. I'm guided to, you know, search, seek, you know?
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And especially when there's something I don't know. And the only thing I do know is what I saw when I had that experience.
Yeah.
And then coming back, that's all I wanted to do was jump in and start trying to find answers, and started researching. And that's what I wanted to not do, is think, okay, well, this is what I had experienced, so it's only this. I want to add to it and see who else had the experience I did, who else didn't, what else, you know, what differences are there? Is there any commonalities?
Yes, yeah. It's so intriguing to me how many medical doctors also. I was watching this random one. It just popped up on my YouTube recommended video. It was just someone off her channel. I think her name is Naz, N-A-Z. And she was, you know, suicidal many times. And then that time, you know, she did have a near-death experience and died for 15 minutes. But it's just so sad how common it is to hear that they wake up and they tell their stories so excited to a doctor. They're like, oh, it's real. Oh, my gosh. And the first thing the doctor says is, no, your conscious, your brain was doing tricks. It's like, why even tell somebody that? What harm would it do if that person is enlightened and joyful about their experience? And who is to, you know, that's gaslighting, to discount someone else's testimony when it's clear that, you know, you say, a lot of people say, no, this was better than reality. It was more clear than reality, way more clear than a dream. And it's like, people will not take you for your word. It's insane when people want to tell, you know, their truth for your truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and it's sad too. I mean, like, especially with my story, you know, I mean, I have the history with the family eating and the dinners and the, you know, all that. So, well, she could have conjured that up in her mind, and I totally get all that. But to make up
Bear
that
and your mom,
after so many years
yes.
of not even thinking about it, I mean, that to me is weird, because I haven't even thought about that stuff in forever. So to have that just be like one of my final things that I think of as I'm dying, like, I don't know, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
And even like,
I don't either.
And that's what I just love about my mom, is we just have this amazing connection, and I've always known our relationship to be very special.
Yes.
But I mean, she made sure that she was a part of this, and
for sure.
And that's where I have to disagree with, like, anybody, is, well, even if my mind made up all of that stuff, there's absolutely no way I knew my mom was going to die.
Exactly. And Bear, your dog.
I could have maybe seen Bear die, because
he was older.
He was 10.
Yeah.
He was overweight. He was having issues. So I'll give it to the scientists if they want it, but they are not getting my mom's, because, I mean, that was such a surprise.
Yes.
Nobody saw it coming. I mean, even family members were like, did she commit suicide? Like, she died? What happened? And she didn't. And and I even when it happened, I'm like, Mom, if you committed suicide, dude, I mean, I get it, but, like, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that's how out of the box it was.
You know what? Let me ask you a question about when your mom and you were together. What was her, if any, kind of views on things like this, or spirituality, anything like that? Was she? I have a feeling she was real deep, if she was sentimental, and just real open-minded, I want to say. But you tell me, you know, what was her thoughts, or if you could, you know, maybe think of what her thoughts would be about if she had this kind of near-death experience, and maybe, so help, you know, Lord willing, but your sister or someone else had been lost, would she be receptive to it, or kind of be like my, you know, my sister-in-law, kind of deny it and not want to talk about it? How was she with spiritual topics when she was alive, in the physical?
I don't know how much she would have talked about it, because she's had some crazy things happen in her life that she didn't really talk about. So she wasn't as open as, and I wasn't ever as open as I am now.
Yeah.
But I don't know if she'd be as open as I am, but she would totally believe it. She would totally, much like me. I wish she was here so I could ask her some of this stuff, because I didn't really know what spirituality really meant until after this happened.
Yeah.
I mean, when people ask me what religion I was, I'd say Buddhism or Christianity or just spiritual. But to me, I believed in something. I just didn't know what.
Yes, yes.
But I knew it was something, and I knew it wasn't conventional, but I just didn't really know what I believed in.
I agree.
And my mom, she would always talk about the Lord. She'd talk about Jesus. You know, she prayed. She loved Easter. So she was a little bit more, you know, Bible-y, religious-y than I was. But she was very much spiritually, too. I mean, she liked the incense stuff. She could get into that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Even
more so than me before this happened.
Yeah.
So now that I'm more into it and more open up to it, I really wish she was here so I could ask, like, oh, is this what you meant by when you're spiritual? Or, like, you know, I wish I could go into further depths with her on it.
For sure.
Because I'm more in depth with it now than I ever have been.
Yeah.
And I think we would have gone down some really cool paths.
Right? In that conversation. So are you guided now, just because my truth is yes to this question, are you more compelled as the days go on to seek and it's just something that fulfills your soul to kind of gather more and more information, or it's a calling of yours? Is it, you know, is it getting less important to you to search and seek through spirituality, or is it getting more and more just evolved and it's exciting?
So at first I was very much into I wanted to know why, what, where, when, how. I wanted to have answers. And very quickly I learned I'm not going to get any answers.
Right, that are concrete, yep. Until we go.
Yeah. So I quickly changed to, why did it happen? And I asked myself, okay, what is my purpose? Why did I come back? And I know a lot of it has to do with the missing persons and justice takes flight.
Yes.
And I'm having a lot of, well, I can't say a lot of issues, but I'm having some hurdles there. So I'm really not questioning that route, but I'm really
wondering if there's a different route. You know why? I was going to ask you the other day if you and I would ever consider doing something regarding, you know, suicide prevention and or special needs, blending it together. I know that both of us have an experience that it's just really disappointing that people would bully and or make anyone feel horrible or insignificant, especially someone who already has a stigma with a disability or something. So I don't know. I feel like the other day I wanted to call you and say, hey girl, you know what you would be amazing at? Just the way that you're very open-minded and not so cheesy as I just think that you would be perfect to speak to people. Most importantly, like youth. I think you're great with like younger people. I feel like they have an attraction to you. Do you think that that would ever be something you would potentially look into as an interest? Is what your, not purpose, but one of your purposes here would be?
Is like talking to people?
Yeah, talking to, like maybe answering one of those suicide hotlines or doing something to, you know, promote the awareness of the stigma on suicide or anything in that kind of realm. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm a little.
Is it like maybe like fresh and raw for you still, like as far as like the emotions for you?
Well, it's a little more like not guilt, but like
shame.
How do I explain this? I am very thankful for my experience and what I did, and I don't want to make anybody else
Glorify it.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
But I also don't want to discredit it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
So I'm in this weird spot where I want to, I don't know.
You know what? That's one of my questions, and I'm looking for it because I wrote down something that has to do with that. I wrote down... Oh, okay. I wrote down, it's perfect for this topic. I said, what would you be able to tell somebody if you were going to tell them that you can overcome anything in this lifetime without having to do that and have a near-death experience? Because I said it must be tough for you having to relay this and say, hey, I this is wonderful, changed my life, but don't do it, kids. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like I do that every time I talk, because I always make it sound like this amazing experience, but then I don't want anybody to get off of this, go have that experience yourself. And if you're meant to die, you're meant to die.
Yeah.
No, I mean...
I think that you cover your bases. I meant to say you do, I think you explain it to a point that... I don't know, some things, little tidbits that you say, I think that you definitely can tell that you're aware, you're cautious of that, like over glorifying it or whatnot. But I can see how you feel that way, though.
Yeah, I would feel so heartbroken if I knew somebody listened to a podcast I did and then was like, oh, I want to see about something, and then find out that they got, that would just break my heart.
Right. But there's so much positivity in your story because you're saying, hey, you can be in that place and get out of it, basically, despite whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think maybe more so what I want people to, but what I try to focus on and what I want people to focus on is the grief aspect.
Yeah.
And especially with the pets, I think that me seeing Bear and Bear being huge in my life was for a reason.
An incentive, right?
To help other people who don't know. I mean, I've joined a lot of, I can't say a lot, but a fair amount of grief support groups.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of them, at least once a day there's a post saying, I just want to know that they're okay, that we'll see them again.
Yes.
And especially in the dog one, that's one of the posts. So I feel like...
You comfort people with that, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like anytime I see a post like that, I'm obligated to answer it because it was brought to my attention for that reason.
Absolutely.
I'm going to help one person off of that post. And that's why I had that experience.
And the breath of relief.
The same thing with the podcast, if somebody asks me to do a podcast, you or, whoever else, I feel obligated and almost ecstatic to say yes, because I feel like that is what I was meant to do, is for some reason that person was supposed to reach out to me, and through that person, at least one person
will get the message.
Something out of it.
Amen, amen, and amen. Dude, amen, because that is exactly the feeling that you gave to me or anybody else that hears a story and is going, that is just the most relief from grief. Any relief from grief or, consolation is beautiful, but when it comes from somebody who had a first-person experience and... it's just immensely important, I think, and I feel that that's beautiful that you have that quest, that pulling in your soul, because it's like, how happy that person, or relieved that person is when someone actually responds, you know what I'm saying, with something like that, where it's just unbelievably beautiful. It just blows my mind, and I think that, like you said about the ripple effect, it's just neat how we never know. Like, for instance, somebody could be listening to this podcast or the one that we've done or your near-death experience right now on Jeff Mara. Well, they might go in a year from now to a family reunion and have someone grieving and say, hey, you know what, actually? You should listen to this woman, Britney. You know what I mean? And so it can have effects to go on and on and on through time, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, and I encourage anybody who's listened to anything, if they have any questions,
Heck yeah.
if they are, if they want more explanation on something, or if they have something that I haven't answered in anything that I've done, I'm pretty easy to find on Facebook through all of the things that I've done, or my email address. I've had people reach out to me and ask me questions and talk to me, and I think some of them were meant to find me and follow, my Facebook, because they see how much I grieve for my mom, even though I know that she's okay and safe.
Yes.
And I think that is, something that some people need to see.
I needed to. I talk to you about that all the time. That validity is beautiful, because a lot of people get that misconstrued. A lot of people feel that if you go through a really hard day and you're just a hot mess like me one of these days and coming up to my dad's birthday, they feel that that is like a contradiction to the serenity and knowing that they're there. But no, it's a different thing, and I think that you do provide that kind of validation and commonality that it's like, oh, okay, it's okay to seriously grieve and have these deep emotional thoughts because of their physical presence being gone, but still have the knowing and the faith and the understanding that you are going to see them again. So I think that is so pivotal. And you know what? Did you want me? What I can do? I think I should put in the description. I can put your email every time we do this down in the description box too, if you want, if you're comfortable with that. Because that would be rad. I just know that it's totally meant to be, as you know, for us to connect. And I feel like it's just a beautiful thing. I think that is what a lot of this lifetime on the physical is about: is connecting and sharing experiences and making people feel the comfort instead of the discomfort.
Yeah, exactly.
Very beautiful. Oh my goodness, dear. What have we been talking for like an hour? Did you want me to let you go, hun?
I'm open. Whatever.
You're open. You know what? Let me see. I had another question. Okay, hold on a second. Oh, I think I might have asked you this, but I don't know if we recorded it. Have you ever dreamt of? I think you said yes on Bear. Have you ever dreamt of Bear or your mom since they passed?
Yes, on both, actually.
Okay. Which one would you like to share first?
Well, and I don't really remember them.
Okay.
I don't ever really remember my dreams.
Okay.
But I remember after Bear passed, I dreamt of him a couple of times, and that made me feel good.
Yeah.
But I was really upset because I wasn't dreaming about my mom. And I really wanted to dream about Mom. And I don't know why, but I was just not dreaming about her. So I kept talking to her before bed and saying, hey, I really want to dream. And one night it finally happened, and I can't remember. I think it was not a fun dream, but it was still a dream with her. Okay. So I called it a win.
Yeah, yes.
But since then, I think I've dreamt about her twice.
Okay.
And that's another thing that breaks my heart too, is I always read these posts from people saying, I want to dream about my loved one who's passed and I haven't yet, or I keep trying to get signs from them, but I haven't gotten anything yet. And it seems like any one of them that I reach out to or that reaches out to me and we end up talking, eventually we find the signs. They just weren't seeing.
Yes. Yes, their grief was kind of clouding it, right?
Another one that, if you are hearing this and you aren't getting signs and you want signs, reach out to me. I'll help maybe point out signs.
Yes.
It's just funny because right now I'm looking out the door, and I swear I look out this door multiple times a day, and this tree is always just this tree, but right now the wind is blowing in such a way that the branches are making a heart.
Oh, that's cool. That's like my tattoo for my dad. They're branches and a heart. And you know what? It's so funny. I didn't tell you this, but I'm shuffling this. They're flashcards, but they have planets on it. I use it for my readings. And right when you started to say about the tree, a card popped out, and it was Pluto, which ironically is like my dad's ruling planet. It was just very interesting because those type of things, I really truly feel if we open our eyes, there are much bigger signs than that. But yes, I love that. That could be something that is incredibly insightful and helpful for people grieving too. Brittany, is just having them open the gateway to understand that those little things are not little. You know what I mean? And maybe get them past their grieving enough to just open up their eyes and say, hey, it's like a breadcrumb. The more that you welcome it, the more that it'll come and the more that you'll have comfort. You know what I mean? So I love that. I love that.
Well, and even just like, even the little things, like,
yes.
For instance, the other day, this was a while back, but I found a penny where I would normally not find a penny.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, well, that's weird.
Coins from heaven.
I looked at the penny, and it happened to be the year of my sister's, her birth year.
Aww.
And I thought, well, that's a cool sign, you know?
Yeah.
And then I got thinking about it even more, and I thought, you know, maybe this is even a deeper sign. So I messaged my sister, and I can't remember what it was, but she was going through something, and she was so thankful that I had reached out to her.
See? Yep. That even plays a purpose. The signs also have reverberating effects like the pebble in the lake, right?
One of the ones that really got me, and it scared the bejesus out of me,
what?
Was my dog got this piece of paper, and I was like, what is this piece of paper? I look at it, and it's a letter from it's a relative of my mom's who was really, really special to my mom. And when my mom passed, he made it a point to drive all the way out to us to see us the very next day, gave us these personal letters and gave us some old pictures. And I mean, he was very
That means so much. Yeah, fucking sincere.
So my dog had this letter, and I'm like, how does he have this letter? This letter was put away in another envelope in a bag in the top of my closet. Right. There's no way that my dog got this. So, what the heck? I went into the room, and the bag was up at the top of the closet. So, how my dog got this paper out of an envelope, out of a bag, on top of the closet, I have no idea.
Right.
So, I thought, okay, well, this is a weird sign. But again, I thought more deeply because I know my mom, and I'm like, my mom's trying to tell me something.
Yep.
So I went ahead and I reached out to that relative, and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you called us. We're so stressful. We're so freaking out. We both just got COVID.
Oh my God.
And they ended up, they're okay. Everything's fine now. But they were so thankful that I reached out to them that day. And It was totally my mom that did it. I mean, I know that for a fact because there's no way my dog got that.
100%. Yep.
So, they don't have to be those signs. Those signs do come to you if you look out for them hard enough. But those hearts in the clouds, those are signs too. And
100%.
I know it's easy to explain away it's just a cloud. They always look like that.
Yeah.
No, it's the feeling that you get when you see it.
Yes.
If you look up at the clouds and you see something, and at that exact feeling, you remember that person.
Yep.
That's a sign.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm so thankful that I can be comfortable enough because, I mean, look, other people could have thought I was loony, but I'm telling you that one, divination that happened to me where I walked into my bedroom after 2 seconds and everything was organized and there was one little homemade, oracle card. And it was really having to do with you and I's interaction, talking about nonprofit, and it just, I mean, things like that are mind-blowing and just unbelievably beautiful. Just things that happen like that, and like you said, you feel it in your gut, you feel it in your soul, and it just, even if you didn't want to think about that or you tried to dismiss it, it just fills your gut, it fills your soul with that knowing of that, just that elated feeling oh, yep, this was for a reason, you know what I mean? Oh my goodness. I am amazed about things that happen in that order where it leads you to, help somebody or what I was going to bring up. I know we talked about the cadaver parts where the people would get, different parts of somebody who had passed. What about those amazing stories that, let's say in 1999, two people were randomly in a restaurant, they didn't know each other, and one started choking, and the other one, the stranger, gave them CPR and saved them. And then 10 years later, they're in a completely different country, and they're at the beach, and that one person that had saved them before is drowning, and then the other one happens to save them, and they only realize after that it's the same person. I mean, that is just, that's proof to me, of course, to the skeptics, that there is no coincidence. That is divine. You know, there is some sort of plan, purpose. I mean, it just, life is more intricate and beautiful and magical than I think a lot of people give it credit for.
Well, it's like those ones that you see that they get married, but then they were in their pictures like years before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
I honestly believe, I mean, there was this lady, how did I find her? It was in a grief group, and it was her dad. She lost her dad, and I can't remember why, but I told her she could message me, and so we were messaging, and she was having a hard time finding her signs. And so she sent me this picture, and it was of this four-leaf clover in the clouds that she kind of drew out, and it kind of looked like a four-leaf clover. So she was like, "Is that a sign?" And I said, "Yeah, but you didn't see the one up above it." And like clear as day, up at the very top of the picture, because what she did was she put the shamrock and drew the little shamrock, and then on her text she wrote something about her lucky charm or whatever, and then did a bunch of broken hearts in the text. You know how they do that?
Yes.
In like the screenshot. So I told her, I was like, "Well, look, he did a matching broken heart, and it was a like perfect broken heart at the very top. But at the top of the broken heart, it looked like there was like a stream of cloud going up, and it made a perfect heart above that." And I told her, I was like, "For some reason, I'm getting this like sign, and it's like he's telling you through the broken heart, love continues on." And I was talking to her about the other side of the veil and explaining to her that tightrope fame and how they can visit us. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, how did you even see that in there?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It's the very first thing I saw when I opened up the picture."
See, that's beautiful. You're an angel on
earth,
I
was like, I really think he met my mom, and my mom sent you my way.
Absolutely. They are in cahoots right now. I know we've talked about that for us, but I think that is so beautiful that you're like, "Oh, hey, look," and I love the description. Like, I just want to encourage you to do everything like that you can, even if it sounds like cheesy or crazy. Like, I used to hold back, but it's those definitions that really strike somebody that's like, wow. You know what I mean? That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. You know what? On that note, I do know that you had recommended before. I haven't been on the darn Facebook in a long time, but I think that it is appropriate since my dad's birthday is coming up. I would love to jump on some of those grief, groups. So I'm going to hit you up on the text and ask you what the names are and how to join or whatnot, because I would love to get input and give input, anything that I could do. And just, I love the collaboration between souls who are just, compassionate and totally trying to get on with this life without their loved one.
My dogs are collaborating right now.
I was just going to say that's their sign to say, yep, you guys are right. Mochi's like sleeping and keeps on looking up. It's so funny. And I cannot overstate how important it is, because the love for spirits, in my opinion, it's like animals. I mean, I'm sorry to say, sometimes the love can be more powerful than you feel with people. They don't judge. It's just such a strong connection. So I just love that is part of your mission too. And I love that you got that validation and that, confirmation about Bear, because a lot of people just, it's terribly sad, and they think, because of all this, I don't know, there's a lot of religions out there that say, "Oh no, animals are beasts, they do not have a soul." And it's just so sad, because why would you tell somebody that, even if it's true, if they're grieving so hard over this, animal. So anyway, I just think that is such a neat thing that you got to feel the love, and it's just a beautiful thing. I also feel like, maybe Bear sends you things too. I know that that's, a little far-fetched, but I imagine that my dog I grew up with, or he was 21 when he passed, I was out of the house, but I always imagine that he's the one that sent Mochi my way, you know, the cat my way to kind of save me in a difficult time. I just feel that they are so much of a spirit guide for us.
They are. I think they're more spirited than we are.
100%.
Like pure spirit.
I was... See? Was that Kip? Kip said yep?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
I don't know about this one, though. This one might be pure devil. Yeah, is that what you are? I think that's what you are.
I was going to say, it's so funny, that little relationship. It reminds me of my mom and Miko. Like, she's just like, oh my gosh, you... Oh, that's so funny, the pictures where he's like, oh, I'm not being naughty.
Did I tell you about his birthday?
No, when's his birthday?
The day before Bear died.
No way.
Yep. It's one of the reasons why I got him.
Oh my gosh, that's like so correlated. See what I mean? I feel like that was a divine thing, like from Bear Spirit. So, that is incredible about those kind of, not coincidences, those synchronicities about the dates that align, you know, and just different things that when that starts stacking up, that is also a sign. I mean, that is the way that we get confirmation and validation. So I just think that even if it was, you know, oh, my aunt is on the same birthday as you, I think that it does have such significance, because if you put everything together, it's just telling you, yep, you know, yep.
Well, and Toulouse, he's like my favorite. Like, I don't think you should have favorites, but I do.
Yeah.
I do. But his birthday, we figured out, was probably right around Bear's birthday. Not the same year, but at least the same month.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's cool.
I think he was meant to find me.
Yeah.
Because
he's like your kindred spirit.
Hated cats before him.
Yeah.
So, he's completely changed my opinion on cats. I mean,
right.
my favorite above.
I have to admit, Mochi did too. I'm telling you, I did not ever think that I would be head over heels. Like, he's like, I swear to God, he's equivalent of one of my kids. It sounds psychotic, but I totally got changed, as if like there is just something, I guess, the more and more, I don't know, spiritually awakened I get or whatnot. In this state, I feel that I can tune in a lot more. Do you find that after your near-death experience that you can kind of tune in telepathically or energetically better with animals, or no? Like sensitivities to them or whatnot? Like you can tell what they're feeling, or... I always have been, but it kind of heightened after, you know, this whole thing with my dad.
I would say I've always had that, but maybe it's heightened a little bit.
Yeah.
But I've always seemed to be pretty good at it.
Yeah, for sure. Like, animal whisperer, right?
I remember my husband would always be like, what is he needing? And I'm like, he needs this. And he's like, how do you know that? And I'm like, I don't know, I just do. Like,
you just
he's
know.
talking to me.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not know what he needs?
Do you connect with other animals when you see them, like, let's say friends' pets, or if you go to a farm or something? Are you always in tune with other animals besides dogs and the cat that you've...
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
If you had a spirit animal, what would it be?
The penguin.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love penguins. I love them. I love them. I love them. Oh.
And penguins mate for life.
Yes, they do, and then they care for...
And they give each other cute pebbles. And
yes!
I don't know, I just love penguins.
Me too, me too. I remember back in the day, Happy Feet. I love the story of that, the little cartoon, and I always loved that the male and the female share the responsibilities, and when they court, they give each other the pebbles, and it's really, really sweet. So that is awesome. I love that.
See, I go older than that. Do you remember Scamper the Penguin?
Yeah. Wait, what is it called?
Huh?
What is it called?
Scamper the Penguin?
No, is that a cartoon?
Oh my God. Scamper the Penguin. You'll have to Google it when we get off the phone.
Okay.
But he was my favorite when I was growing up. I watched Scamper the Penguin, the movie, probably once every day for like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. I was attached to that movie.
What do you bet it has a sign for me? You know, because my mom and dad's favorite thing was to put on the penguin thing, the National Geographic, because they loved that. They were like high school sweethearts, so they're all like, look, Shannon, they mate for life. You know what I mean? So
when I turned 18, that was my first tattoo I got was Scamper the Penguin.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I wanted something that summed up my childhood, but also was like something important to me, and
That's
I
cool.
felt like my personality was a lot like Scamper the Penguin's,
Yeah.
So that's what I got with Scamper the Penguin.
Oh, that's awesome. That'll have to be on our bucket list to do, beside the Anasazi cliff dwellings and our journey quest. We will have to get a tattoo together because I'm overdue.
Yes.
I'm serious.
The last tattoo I got was for my mom. Did I ever show you that tattoo?
No, you should send me pictures of the tattoos. No, I didn't even know you had any. This is a great topic of conversation.
So it's on my wrist, and it's a semicolon. You know how they do that for the suicide?
No, I didn't. What does that symbolize?
So the semicolon means to carry on.
Oh, okay.
And so what I did was, it's a butterfly, but the body is the semicolon.
Oh my God, that's rad.
And then in the body of the semicolon, I used my mom's fingerprint.
That's cool.
And then underneath it says "Love You, Bug."
Oh.
And that's what my childhood nickname was Bug.
That's beautiful.
And it's in my mom's handwriting. I got off of the card.
No way, that is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
That is so
and
awesome.
A lot of people, when I show it to them, they think my mom committed suicide, and I'm like, well, no, that's for me to anytime I feel down or if I feel like I'm going to, I'm supposed to look at it and remember
continue
that mom loves me and to carry on.
Yeah, that's beautiful, girl. I love that. You know what's interesting to me on that note? I have mine on my right wrist too, the one that I just chose that placement. A lot of people, when I comment on their tattoos in public or whatever, they'll say, oh, that's for my relative, and it is on their wrist. Do you think there's any significance in that? I don't know what to say about that, but that's an observation.
I don't know. I think wrist tattoos are for a lot of people who do suicide tattoos are on their wrist.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
that makes
they
sense.
cover up like suicide attempts.
Yeah.
Like one that I saw that was really cool was this lady's dad's final heartbeat.
Oh, that's rad.
And it was on her wrist.
Like the little machine, you mean? Like the cardiogram or whatnot?
Yeah, it's like the EKG.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
That's his final heartbeat. And then she had the, line carry on after, the dead space a little bit.
Yeah.
But it covered up her scar, and it had his dates and stuff in his name.
That's so neat. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I had a final heartbeat of my mom. I definitely don't.
Yeah, that is neat. I love that you implemented the fingerprint, though. That is so cool. And the handwriting. My dad used to do a little doodle, like a little smiley face guy, and that is my mistake. My aunts and my mom went out about a month after, and they all got that on their ankle, and I was like, oh, no. I didn't have any tattoos. I'm all, no, I don't want a tattoo. I don't know. I was in some weird grief place at the time. But it's really neat because it's intimate. I love that you have their representation, both ways, the fingerprint and the writing. That is really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with the fingerprint, and I knew I wanted a tattoo, and I wanted to get that suicide one. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'll just put the fingerprint in the semicolon. And the tattoo artist did a really good job of it. Yeah, I'll take a picture of it.
Yeah, take a picture and send it.
And then the second to last tattoo I got was, it's on my ankle, and was actually on my calf, I guess. But it's the child abuse ribbon.
Oh, that's cool. Blue. For Gabby?
For Gabby. But the body I made into a dragonfly, so the wings are the ribbon.
Rad.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, those are my two favorite things. Obviously, that those are my signs beside a bird is butterflies and dragonflies. The transition, metamorphosis into the afterlife. I just love that. I love dragonflies. I'm very, very fascinated and just compelled, drawn to them, and that phenomena. I think that's rad. I love that. I love that you get the tattoos and have meaning and significance in the little details, because I'm all about that. I love that. So yeah, we'll have to put that on our bucket list. That is so super rad.
Yeah, I'll find it. I think I have it upstairs in my mom's jewelry thing.
What do you think about the people who get their ashes into the tattoos?
You what?
I said, what do you think about the people who ingrain their loved one's ashes into the ink for their tattoos?
I think that's cool. I wanted to do it, I didn't find an artist around here that, like, I'm sure they probably would have done it if, like, I asked them to, or, like, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But I was afraid I'd have a reaction or something.
That's exactly what I was going to tell you. That's the only reason why. Because I'm so sensitive in skin. Yeah.
That's why I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, having the thumbprint and the writing was enough for me.
That's enough. That's intimate. That's the real soul. That's what speaks soul, right? You know, not the flesh and bones. Yeah. I mean, I just think that's rad. Oh my gosh.
And my mom's very first tattoo was on her leg, and it was she had the picture of it, of the transfer or whatever that the artist did. She kept it all these years, and I have it.
That's
and I'll take a picture of it if I can find it. But that's the next tattoo I want to get.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's what she had was like two roses on her leg, and each rose had my sister's name on it.
Oh, that's so cool, dude.
Yeah, so I want to get the same tattoo, but put like her name, and I don't know what else to do with it, but I want to do something.
And it's so fun to be creative, right? It's so fun to like think of it and like, you know, create it, and like the ideas. That's so cool. I've been thinking
get some cute like peace symbol, or like some cute like, I don't know, journey symbol or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been thinking about all that, like the next one, like you know, a guitar pick or something very significant and symbolic. I love it, and I myself just love looking down at it. You know what I mean? It's almost like a little life piece, you know, like a living memorial or something.
Yeah. That's exactly what I do with my tattoos.
Always look at it, yeah. Always. I'm all, oh yes, I have so much happiness.
But you get like a little cute colored mushroom or something.
Yeah, yes. Oh my gosh. I'm totally, do you ever watch, I used to know him on Fear Factor. Do you ever know who Joe Rogan is?
Yes.
Well, I've been really, really interested and fascinated with his podcast. Just recently, I just got into it. And I had no idea that he was so kind of open-minded into exploring. Like, he's done DMT and talked about different experiences. And, yeah, it's intriguing me. I was just like, whoa, mind blown the other day.
Wow.
Yeah, he's been intriguing me. Anyway, sweet love, I guess I will let you go. But do not forget to send me the picture of your tattoo, and I am gonna, like, I'm anxious. I know it's something that is in this movie for me. I am going to go and Google Scamper and see if it can come up on YouTube. See if I can watch the movie. I'm serious. Babe?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Come on, did I lose you? Bye, dogs. Bye, bubs. Mochi says bye, and I will talk to you soon, and I will text you soon, and I totally appreciate and love every essence of the fiber of everything that you are. Yeah, never let any hater nation corporation detour you or I. If I forget, you got to remind me, okay? Because there's some opposing forces out there, but when we're not opposing, I swear to God, it's like, it's beautiful.
Yes.
Alrighty, babe. Alright, bye. I'll talk to you later, sweetheart.
Alright, love you.
Okay, love you too. Bye-bye.